Let's make a drip drawing inspired by the artist Jen Stark. On the left is a picture of the artist, Jen Stark, and on the right is a picture of our project. Jen Stark is a contemporary artist who lives in Los Angeles, California. She is known for her colorful and psychedelic art. Let's learn a little more about her. Jen Stark creates complex paper sculptures. And her style has a vibrant drip aesthetic. Jen Stark is interested in color theory, which is the way colors affect each other when you put them together. She is inspired by pop-up books, paper engineering, kaleidoscopes, and the work of other artists. Her drip art is dynamic, radiant, and creates the illusion of movement. She has painted several murals like these. One is in the Facebook headquarters office, and the other is in Culver City, California, which is in Los Angeles. She even created animations and artwork for the stage at the MTV Video Music Awards in 2015, which was hosted by Miley Cyrus. Now that we've learned about Jen Stark, let's go over the directions for our drip drawing inspired by her. For your supplies, you will need a blank piece of paper, or you can print the drippy line template that you can find on Google Classroom. Other supplies that you'll need are a pencil, an eraser, scissors, a black marker, and coloring materials. First, we'll start by drawing a few drippy line shapes with a pencil, and then we'll give them a thick outline using a black marker. Then we'll fill our shapes with more drippy lines using a black marker. And after, plan where our colors go. Then color in using a pattern like cool, warm, rainbow, or black and white. After, you can cut out the bottom edge in a drippy line shape, like Jen Stark does with her paper cutouts. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Before you get started, make sure you have either the printed drippy line template that you can find on Google Classroom, or you have a blank piece of paper where I'll show you how to draw your own drippy lines on. You'll also need a pencil, an eraser, a black marker to outline your lines with, and then something to add color with. I will be using markers. So first I'm going to show you how to draw your own drippy line shapes like the artist Jen Stark. If you have the printed copy, you can go ahead and outline the lines that are on the printed copy with a black marker. So I'm going to go over them with a black marker and make them stand out more. If you're using a blank piece of paper, I will show you how to draw your own right now. So let's practice a drippy line first on the back of our paper. When we draw drippy lines, they're like a wavy line, but they're a little bit longer and they go up and down. There's no right or wrong way to do this, but we do want to start on the edge at the top and make some shapes that overlap. So this is one shape. Then this will be another shape. And I'm just making my lines curve and go up and down. So I have one shape, here's a second shape. Let's make one below, and I'm just keeping some of the drips long and some are a little bit shorter. And then I can end my shape. So 1, 2, there's 3. I could fit one more right here. The key with this is making some of them shorter and some of the drips longer so that it looks like dripping paint. Now that we've practiced on one side of our paper, if you like the way they look, then you can keep those, but if you don't like it, turn your paper over and make another version, and then you can decide which one you like best. Once you're happy with your drippy line shapes, then you can take your black marker and outline them. So I'm outlining and going over my pencil line of my drippy line shapes. And it's okay if I'm not exactly on top of the line because I can use an eraser and erase the pencil line that's showing through later. And when I'm outlining, I'm going to go over my line a second time and make it a little bit thicker. So I'm going back over my outline and I'm making my line thicker with my black marker by going over it twice. This will allow my shapes to really stand out when I add more lines inside of them. So I want to be able to see the edge of my drippy line shape. So that's why I'm giving it a thicker outline here. And you can just go back over like I am and make it a little bit thicker. If you happen to have a thicker black marker, then you can also use that to make it have a thick outline. Or you can just go over it a second time to do the same thing. Now that I've outlined the drippy line shapes, we're going to fill in those shapes with more drippy lines that are repeated. So if you look at these lines follow the shape of the original drippy line. Notice that the thicker lines stand out from the thinner lines on the inside. That's why it's really important that you outline the shape lines a little bit thicker so that they really pop out. And remember, if you're using a printed copy, you're going to outline those lines and you're going to make them a little bit thicker by going over them twice or just using a thicker marker. So those lines really pop out. Once you've made those thicker outlines, then we're ready to add the lines on the inside. So I'm going to work one shape at a time. So let's focus on this one here. I'm going to follow the line with my finger and practice the next line that I'm going to make. Then you can just use your black marker for this, and I'm going to follow the shape with my marker. I'm going up and down and just following the curves of the line below it. So it's like we're making a second shape. Then I'm going to go again and make another row. Up and down. Just look at the last line that you drew while you do this. This is really great practice for pen control or marker control, and it's building your drawing skills when you do this. So I'm going to keep going until I reach the edge of my paper. And as I keep going with a new line, my line starts to change a little bit because it's getting a little bit smaller and I'm starting to run out of space. But as long as I look at the line below, I can try to follow the shape as best as I can. Now I've reached the edge of my paper here, so I could draw a little bit of the next line there. Then I'll pretend like it goes off of my page, but I'm not going to draw a line there. I'm just going to continue it where I have room, and I could fit probably one more line there. So there's one of my drippy line shapes. I'm going to move on and do the rest. So fill each one with those repeated drippy lines. You're going to follow the shape of the first line you drew and fill it in. Sometimes your lines will bump into each other. Like this line here is bumping into the shape above it. That's called overlapping, and we need to think about what is in the front and what is in the back. So watch as I do this next line and I get over to that spot. So when my line touches this shape above it, I'm going to stop and hop over. I'm not going to draw my line through it because I want it to look like that line is behind the shape. So I don't want to draw my line through it. So again, with this next line, it's going to stop there because it bumped into the shape above it, and it's going to stop there, and I'm going to skip over the shape above it and draw my line after. This is really good practice for understanding overlapping. Once you've drawn all of your lines, go ahead and take your eraser and erase any extra pencil lines that are showing through to make your artwork look neater. And then think about what colors each shape will be. So Jen Stark loves to use bright colors, but she also likes to use black and white. So if you have bright colors of markers or crayons or colored pencils, those things would work great for this project. You could use rainbow colors on a section, you could use black and white, you could use all warm colors on a section, and then maybe all cool colors. It's up to you. You are the artist here, so think about the colors that you like. But when we use our colors today, one tip that I have for you is planning. So I'm going to make this section rainbow. So I'm going to put a mark in each space that will tell me what that color is. So notice that I have red, orange, now I'm using yellow, then green, then turquoise, then blue, violet, and then I'm adding pink at the end. At the top, I'm going to repeat my pattern and just use red again. That way, when I go to color, I know that this whole line here is going to be red. Then the whole line above it will be orange. If I went ahead and did it without planning, there's a chance I would mess up my color order, and I might not be very happy about that. So we know that Jen Stark likes to use black and white, so another pattern that you could use is black and white. You could do the same thing. So if I used white here, I'm just gonna leave it blank, not put a dot or a line in it. But then my next line would be black, so I'm gonna put a line there. White, black, this would be white. And then this one would be black. Sometimes it gets a little bit confusing when you get to the top, but you'll have to look at what section is below it. So this one looks like it will be black, then white, then black, then white. That way I know when I'm going to add color what my plan is for that section. So go ahead and plan where your colors go before you color it in. Once you've planned where your colors go, then you can go ahead and color in your sections. So I put red here, so I'm gonna go ahead and color in my section here red. And I'm trying to be as neat as I can when I do this so that I don't go over the line and get into a different section. So this is something that takes time and patience. So try your best to show off your neatest coloring skills here. It might be easy to give that section an outline if you're using a marker. Go along the edge like I am here with the red and give it a little bit of an outline, and then you can easily fill it in without worrying about going over the lines. So this whole section is going to be filled in red. Once you've colored in a section, look for the next color. My next color in this pattern is orange. So I'm getting my orange out and coloring that one in. Now I finished coloring in my drippy lines. One thing that you can do to your project is cut out the bottom edge in the drippy line shape. This might take a little bit of practice, but one thing that makes it easier is cut off the extra edge of your paper. Notice that I'm cutting around my drippy shape, but I'm not cutting right next to the black line yet. So I'm just getting all the extra white paper off. And that way it will make it easier for me to cut closer to the black line. So I don't want to leave it just like this. When you're cutting, your thumb goes in the hole on the top of your scissors and your fingers go in the bottom hole. And then you are going to open and close, open and close. Use your other hand that you're not cutting with to help you turn your paper as you're cutting. And I'm going to leave the black outline around the bottom edge here. I'm not cutting that off completely. I'm trying to cut very close to that outline and go around the drippy shape as best as I can. Notice that I'm cutting very slowly and carefully. I'm going to speed up the video. I don't really cut this fast, so I want you to take your time so that your cutting looks your very best. Okay, so I'm all done with my Jen Stark drip drawing. I hope you had so much fun today learning about one of my favorite artists, Jen Stark, and learning how to draw drippy lines in the style of her using different patterns of colors. I can't wait to see what you create. Have fun, artist!